Did your student get accepted to an HBCU, or did you make your decision on decision day only to find out that your student now is in a fight to find where they're going to be staying this semester? If you've gotten accepted and your student now finds themselves in a situation where there's no guaranteed housing, or maybe even if your student is not an incoming freshman, they're returning from off campus, maybe to have done an internship or maybe to experiment with off campus housing, but now they're needing to be on campus and there's nothing for them and you guys are stuck in limbo. If that's the case, stick around. We're going to explore that in this episode. You are tuned into Black, Brown, and HBCU Bound, where culture meets excellence and knowledge meets opportunity. Today's segment, we're going to talk about that. Housing at HBCUs can be limiting. There's a myriad of reasons why that could be. This particular year, where so many more students are applying to colleges, it could be because of the increased enrollment at our HBCUs. There's a lot going on in the world that also may contribute to an influx of students deciding that an HBCU is going to be their option. And all of that put together, it makes for the perfect storm. Just to be honest, the housing could be something that can't be attributed to the things that we're going through currently politically, and because of the amount of students who are applying to HBCUs being so increased because of the number of children who were born years back who are now entering their freshman year of college. But that also can be linked to the fact that there's just limited resources in terms of housing opportunities on campuses for HBCUs, and that's just something that's always been an issue, not just this particular year. Many schools are overwhelmed and can't meet that growing demand simply because housing is limited. The off-campus opportunities have to be explored, and we're going to talk about that. One thing we want to talk about is who gets priority when it comes to housing. Oftentimes you find that there are a few areas of priority. Students under 18, and that's just because of the need for guardianship for a minor. If they're under 18, oftentimes you'll find that they'll get priority. Students with disabilities will get priority if they have approved accommodations. Students who are athletes will oftentimes find that they are also going to have priority status. And students who don't fit within these guidelines, sometimes they'll find themselves having to make do if they're not lucky enough. We always state that the earliest opportunity that you have where you can pay your deposit for on-campus housing, if you're in a position to do it, and a lot of people may not be, and this is not me saying that it's the norm, but if you can afford and you think favorably that you might have a good opportunity to be accepted, the minute you have the opportunity to pay that deposit fee, and it may not be refundable, oftentimes it won't be, I would encourage you to pay it, because a lot of times you'll find that it's first come, first serve, and most of these campuses will be overwhelmed with applications of students wanting to live on campus. So get your deposits in early. I have heard horror stories of people who have paid their deposits and they still don't have guaranteed housing, but that's another story for another day. What you need to know about students who have mental health issues, anxiety, depression, sometimes there are instances where these students can qualify for or be eligible to have single rooms, so that needs to be explored. We've talked about students with disabilities in prior podcast episodes where you want to have your student have all of their accommodation requirements on record and documented as early as possible. It's because there are not just housing benefits or opportunities that help them, but there are other benefits that we've discussed in other episodes, and you can look for the episode along the list of the ones that we've done so far to be able to get that information. And you want to be able to request these accommodations from the disability office at the college. So please keep that in mind. And parents, what you need to know, again, and you keep that in mind for the entire time that your student's on campus, that without you having FERPA permissions, you will not be able to advocate on behalf of your students. So we do talk about in other episodes, you teaching your students how to advocate for themselves, but oftentimes if they do have some difficulty in that area, especially if they have learning disabilities or hindrances in that area, you may want to get involved and be on their advocacy team to be able to get the things that they need. So keep that in mind. Off-campus housing solutions are available a lot of times, but you have to be very careful with that. If housing is full, you may want to have your child find off-campus housing. That may be the only opportunity or option if you're not living close enough where they can commute. Leases can be expensive and non-refundable. That is also something I wouldn't want you to put solely in your students' hands. Remember, they're just reaching out to this new found adulthood, and they may not know all of the ramifications of things that they signed. So you want to be able to work with them, not do it for them. We're teaching them how to advocate for themselves, but you do want to work with them. Don't let them go it alone. These are legal contracts that they're going into when they're looking for housing, and you want them to have some guidance, or be able to provide some guidance along the way if you can. You want to consider, if they're going to live off campus, that not all landlords that are near these schools, colleges, are reputable. So that's another reason why you want to make sure you are involved in the process of helping them obtain off-campus housing. And you also want to consider limited public transportation, or some of the challenge that will exist just by the fact that they live off campus, not even mentioning the fact that they won't get the full campus experience, especially if they don't at least have the opportunity to live on campus early on. Just understand that a lot of colleges will make it mandatory that you live on campus at least for the first year. But if there's a case where your student's not able to get on campus housing, these are some of the things that you want to consider. Some tips to ask. Ask if the school has a verified list of off-campus housing, if that is a position what you've been forced to realize is your only option. You want to be able to work with the school to see if they have any approved people who they've been dealing with, landlords or building owners, or whoever these residencies tend to be with. You want to know that they are approved, or at least recommended by the school if you can. Students returning from internships or studying abroad. Unfortunately, this is another group of students who may find themselves in a position where they may be returning to campus without the promise of having a room there available for them. So these students may also be caught in this situation as well. And these are some of the tips that they may want to look into. At this point, usually when they've gone off campus to do an internship or study abroad, take advantage of a study abroad opportunity, they're upperclassmen. You'll find that they'll be an upperclassman, and they may have the ability to navigate that a little bit better than a person who's just new to leaving home would. But you also want to have some resources at your fingertips that you can rely on and help you when you're making the decision. Some other things we want to talk about is whether or not your schools require you to reapply for housing during a specific window. Even if you're previously enrolled, please keep an eye out. You don't want to miss deadlines, because you can easily put yourself out of the running by missing a deadline, and then you have no argument. You have no recourse. So you want to be able to position yourself as best you can in all areas, not just housing. The communication between the school and the student is very important. There will be times when there won't be a loud announcement. They have to be trained and taught and encouraged to continue to check their email, check regularly, and to respond. And when they need help, to reach out. Don't sit on things, because sometimes it could just be a simple fix that they think is catastrophic. And if they would have just taken the opportunity to respond to it, a lot of things don't have to turn into something monumental. So it's just something that they can't handle very easily. So keep that in mind when you're talking to your students about going off to school. Tips that I try to make notes so I don't forget things. Tips that I'd like you to clarify before leaving is some of the things that we talked about. But in closing, the housing crisis at HBCUs is real. While we love our institutions, we also have to be honest about some of the situations. I went through this as well. As you all know, I've said it many times before. My daughter went to Howard. My son went to Morehouse. Morehouse is a much smaller environment, so housing wasn't really an issue. When he moved off campus, is because it was his desire to move off campus, because he was getting up there in terms of where he was. I think he moved off campus in his junior year, if I'm not mistaken. But Morehouse has more housing opportunities because they're a smaller school. Howard is a horse of a different color. You try to go off campus if you want to, chances are you won't get back. There are housing opportunities in the community, and there's a vast amount of opportunities for students to take advantage of, but you probably will have difficulty going off campus for an internship, or because you just decided to move off campus and trying to get back. So keep those things in mind. And from what I'm looking in the Black, Brown, and HBCU Bound Facebook group, a lot of people are facing the challenge of not having a set place of where their students are going to be living. So these are some of the tips that I'm hoping that you guys can avail yourselves of so that you won't be as stressed. You have a lot of time to work on this. Use your resources, reach out. If you're going to be leasing some type of off-campus housing, there's so many resources in the group. Please reach out to each other. Now that decision day is come and gone, now people know where other people how other students are going. It's a good time for you to develop a network. Right there, we have 31,000 people in our group. You may be able to reach out to someone else who's going to the school that your students are going to. We have people who are not just entering freshmen who are in our group. And if you guys need to link up and see how you can maybe share a place, but there are so many opportunities that you can avail yourselves of before the last minute. You have plenty of time. So please try to work on this so you don't find yourselves left out in the dark. But again, that has been an episode from me, Yvonne Daniels, your host, who loves to do this. This is my passion. My job is to move our next generation of students forward. I will be doing this until I cannot no longer do it. And thank you for tuning in to us here at Black, Brown, and HBCU Bound. Please share, subscribe, comment. If you have any questions or you're in a discussion, please put it down in the comments. We'd love to continue this talk there. And I'll see you over at the Black, Brown, and HBCU Bound Facebook group. Thank you for entertaining us. And we hope to see you in our next episode. Have a wonderful day. Good luck, and keep looking for housing. Do not stop until you are secured housing. Take care. Bye-bye.